Of the first incidents that I will mention, we don't know chronologically which one came first. There's a very long hadith in Musnad Imam Ahmad where the Prophet ﷺ mentions one incident that he came across, and then there are other hadith in Bukhari and Muslim about other incidents. Of this hadith in Musnad Imam Ahmad, the Prophet ﷺ said, on the night that I went on Isra wal Mi'raj, I smelt a fragrance that was very sweet. And so I asked Jibreel, what is this beautiful fragrance? So Jibreel said, this is the fragrance of the one who used to comb the hair of the daughter of Firawn. Mashitatu ibnati Firawn. The one who used to comb the hair of the daughter of Firawn and her children. So the fragrance is coming from her and her children. So the Prophet ﷺ said, I asked Jibreel, what is their story? How come their fragrance is so strong? So Jibreel said, once when she was combing the hair of the daughter of Firawn, the comb fell from her hands. And she said, Bismillah. So the daughter said, surely you mean the name of my father. Because for her daughter's perspective, my father is God. And so this woman said, no, my Lord and your Lord is Allah. And the Lord of your father is Allah. So she told this girl that your father is not God, is not Allah. Rather, Allah is my Lord and your Lord and the Lord of your father. And the girl said, do you want me to tell my father you said this? And this woman whose name we don't even know said, yes, go ahead. And so when Firawn found out, he called this slave girl, because she's a servant and a slave girl, and asked her, are you saying you have a Rabb besides me? Because Firawn used to say, Ana Rabbukum al-A'la. And Firawn used to say, as the Quran says, قَالَ هَلْ عَلِمْتُ لَكُمْ إِلَهٍ غَيْرِي. Did I ever teach you there's another God besides me? Because he has to teach his people about God. And this is exactly what he asked this lady as well. Did I teach you? Do you know there's another God besides me? And so the woman said, with the same bravery that she said to this young girl, she said to the Firawn himself, she said, yes, my Lord and your Lord is Allah. My Rabb and your Rabb is Allah. And so Firawn ordered that a cauldron be put of fire, and it was boiled in front of her, and she was told that she has to throw her own children into the fire. She has to throw her own children into the fire one by one. We don't know how many children she had. She has to throw her own children to the fire one by one, or else acknowledge Firawn as her Rabb. And so, faced with this dilemma, she said, I have one request, O Firawn. Firawn said, what? He said, that you bury me and my children all together. You take all of our flesh and bones and you bury them in one location. Don't split them up into different locations. So Firawn said, this is a condition that we have upon you. If that's what you want, then you will get this condition fulfilled. And so one by one, her children were thrown in, until finally the last one that was left was her baby that was suckling at her bosom. And this was the one that she could not, she paused at. And so the baby spoke to his own mother, we don't know if it was a boy or girl, and said, oh my mother, go forth and drop yourself in. Proceed forward, because this punishment of this world is nothing compared to the punishment of the next. And so she threw herself in, and then Ibn Abbas commented that there were only 4 who spoke from the cradle, from being a baby. And he said this one, and Isa when he was a baby, and the story of Jurayj, which we mentioned in a halaqah after a Friday night, and the witness of Yusuf. This is Ibn Abbas's opinion, that Shahid of Yusuf is a baby. We talked about that when we said the class, that it doesn't seem to be, it's not a hadith, it's something that Ibn Abbas derived, and Allah knows best, but that is not a true thing, that Shahid Yusuf is not a baby. But this hadith clearly mentions the story of Firawn's daughter's seamstress or helper. And what is amazing is that, subhanAllah, we don't even know her name, but the Prophet ﷺ recorded her plight and narrated it to the ummah, her courage and bravery, Allah had willed that it would be preserved for the ummah. Her sacrifice, Allah had willed that the people of Firawn might not know of her sacrifice. But it would be remembered and mentioned by the greatest ummah and the largest ummah, and the world would know of her story and the story of her children, and she would become a role model for all of the future Muslim generations. So Allah preserved this story, and it is amazing that this story, even though it happened for Musa's ummah, yet it is preserved in our ummah. And the iman is of course exemplary, and yet it is preserved in our ummah, and it is not preserved in the ummah of Musa alayhi salam, because this story is not mentioned in the Old Testament, and it's not found in the Jewish tradition and scriptures.